Good morning, everyone. Welcome. It's my privilege today to welcome you to today's North American Unitarian worship service. We hope you'll experience, as it is meant to be, the freedom of thought, freedom of expression, and freedom of speech the founders of our faith intended. Darkness is so rampant in so many parts of this earth that it's my wish that the light of the chalice I am about to light may symbolically share its light in every corner of our world where it's needed. And it means just about every corner of our world.
Okay, the following reading are lyrics to a song by Jackson Browne. Keep a fire burning in your eye. Pay attention to the open sky. You never know what will be coming down. I don't remember losing track of you. You were always dancing in and out of view. I must have thought you'd always be around, always keeping things real by playing the clown. Now you're nowhere to be found. I don't know what happens when people die. Can't seem to grasp it as hard as I try. It's like a song I can hear playing right in my ear, but I can't sing. I can't stand around. Crying as they ease you down. Because I know that you'd rather we were dancing our sorrow away, right on dancing. No matter what fate chooses to play, there's nothing you can do about it anyway. Just do the steps that you've been shown by everyone you've ever known, until the dance becomes your very own. No matter how close to yours and other steps may have grown, in the end there is one dance you'll do alone. Keep a fire for the human race. Let your prayers go drifting into space. You never know what will be coming down. Perhaps a better world is drawing near. Just as easily, it could all disappear, along with whatever meaning you might have found. Don't let the uncertainty turn you around. The world keeps turning around and around. Go on and make a joyful sound. Into a dancer you have grown, from a seed somebody else has thrown. Go on ahead and throw some seeds of your own. And somewhere between the time you arrive and the time you go, may lie a reason you were alive that you'll never know.
And thank you, Karen, for that nice, basically poem, which happens to be the lyrics to a Jackson Browne song. I'm going to introduce the sermon that I'm going to be talking about or giving in a few minutes. Basically, it's about my mom. So earlier this year, January 31st to be exact, my mom, Virginia, passed away at the age of 98 in Oakland, California, about 20 minutes from where I live. I was fortunate enough to spend quality time with her the night before she passed and arrived at her care home just after she stopped breathing and was able to hold her still warm hand. Since the age of 90, her physical and mental health had declined slowly and steadily, but she always seemed to maintain a cheerful spirit. I spent a big part of the next few days going through family photo albums, boxes of photos, and selected 20 of them that I digitized and posted on Facebook as a tribute to her. They included photos of her as a 5-year-old in 1930, as a graduate of a nursing school during World War II, her wedding day in 1960, one with me and my older brother on her lap as a baby in 1963, later one with all 5 of her children, and then with some of her 5 grandchildren, and another one of her in the care home during COVID-19, trying to talk through a glass window with a mask on. The last photo I posted was of me holding her hand on the day she died. It really showed a full cycle of life, and I received over 100 comments from friends expressing their condolences, including one that said, That was truly a life well lived. It got me thinking, what exactly is a life well lived? A thought which became the inspiration for the sermon. Before I get started, we're going to have a musical interlude with one of my favorite UU songs that also talks about the cycle of life.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life, and with the strength of love, and we have found a need.
Thank you, Doug, and your beautiful choir. Okay, so I'm sure you've all heard the saying, a life well lived, and may have your own ideas on what such a life is. I've never seen a definition of it, so I thought I'd create my own definition. And we'll start by first giving an example of a life that I don't think was well lived. My wife and I have been living on the east side of San Francisco Bay since 2013. And during that entire time, we had as a next door neighbor a widow who was very much a recluse. When I would occasionally see her outside her house, she would be talkative, sometimes too talkative, but it was very rare that I even saw her. Oftentimes, the only sign there was life next door was when the trash bins mysteriously appeared outside her house on Monday mornings. Things got worse for her last summer. My neighbor on the other side of us told me he was out for a walk one morning and saw her garage door open, her car door open, with her slumped over the seat. He asked if she needed help, and she told him to go away, and if he called emergency services, she'd never talk to him again. He said that since she never talked to him anyway, there wasn't much to lose, so he went ahead and called them, and they came and attended to her, and evidently she put up quite a fight in the process. I wasn't there at the time. He just relayed the story to me. I assumed that they had taken her away for a medical check, but found out later that they had brought her into her home and left her there. Not too long after, one Monday morning, the trash bins did not appear overnight, which was a cause for concern. I texted her phone number asking if she needed help and received no response. But since she was never very responsive to texts and phone calls, that wasn't a big surprise. I waited until nightfall and saw a light on in her house and figured she must be okay if she could turn on a light. But we had to leave town for a week. And a few days after getting back, I saw a fire truck outside her house. I asked the firemen what happened and was told that they had been contacted by her pest exterminator to do a welfare check because he had noticed an abundance of flies in and around the house. They broke into the house and found her dead body on the floor in the bedroom, along with a dead, emaciated cat. Amazingly, one of her two cats had somehow survived and was rescued by animal control. It would be sad enough if the story ended there, but what makes it worse is that she left no written instructions on what to do with her home and belongings. I gave the mailman the mail that was overflowing in her mailbox and told him to stop delivering mail because she had died. Gradually, word got out to her few friends that she had passed away at home. One had tried to reach her to no avail and got worried and drove all the way from Kansas to find out she was dead. This friend had heard her say years earlier that a cousin's daughter would get the house, but she was living in China. She had a brother living in Oregon, and he made the drive down to see the place and take responsibility for it. I met him one day outside the house and told him what I knew and talked about their plans. The home is beautifully situated in the East Bay Hills with a magnificent view of San Francisco Bay, and they said they would have been happy to inherit it and move in there, but because of the circumstances of her death, they decided they would rather sell it. She had an old Volvo sitting in the driveway and a Corvette in the garage. But even though they found the keys, there was no title to these vehicles that they could use to sell them. They have engaged a lawyer to try to do the legal discovery of next of kin and somehow get title to the property and access to the mail, which for all they know may contain foreclosure notices from a mortgage holder. As you can tell, it's all a big mess. And instead of leaving heirs or charitable organization with a substantial sum of money, my old neighbor has left a difficult situation for all involved. I'm sure we can all agree that this was not a life well lived, and hopefully we're all taking steps so that our heirs won't be similarly burdened. As for a contrasting example, I'd like to talk about a life that I think is extremely well lived, and that would be our 39th president, James Earl Jimmy Carter. Jimmy was born in Plains, Georgia on October 1st, 1924, so he will be 100 if he lives 5 more months. He was just 6 months older than my mom, and I always wondered who would outlive who. And my mom gave him quite a battle. After graduating from Naval Academy, he served as an officer on a nuclear submarine before returning to Plains to run his family's peanut business. He served as Georgia State Senator from 1963 to 67, ran for governor in 1966 and lost, but ran again in 1970 and won. He ran for president in 1976, and to the surprise of many, he won the Democratic nomination and then beat out incumbent Jerry Ford in a rather close election winning just 50.1% of the popular vote. His single term as president is not considered a success, mainly because of the misfortune of being in office when the Shah of Iran was overthrown and the U.S. embassy was taken over and 52 Americans were held hostage for 444 days. But he did have some notable successes, primarily the Camp David peace accords between Israel and Egypt, a peace that has beyond all expectations still lasted to this day. But I think it's the time that he spent after his years as president that have established his true legacy. He founded the Carter Center in 1982, which has worked tirelessly promoting the causes of peace, has sent election observers to many spots around the world, and has been instrumental in virtually eliminating several devastating tropical illnesses, such as guinea worm disease, which has decreased from 3.5 million cases in the mid-1980s to 25 cases in 2016 and 10 as of September 2021. He was a longtime volunteer for Habitat for Humanity, building homes for the homeless, and inspired me to join this organization and do the same, an experience I found very rewarding. Although his presidency received a mixed reception, he is now the longest living ex-president, and his peacekeeping and humanitarian efforts since he left office have made him renowned as one of the most successful ex-presidents in American history. For his efforts, he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002, and even won 3 Grammy Awards for his audio recordings of some of his books. I've been a supporter of the Carter Center for many years and am considered a peacekeeper by this organization because of my monthly pledging. Last spring, I achieved a life goal when I made a trip to Atlanta and was finally able to visit the Carter Museum and Library and treasured walking through the hallways to see all the good works he and his wife have done, of which his years as president are just a small part. Because of the nature of the service being on Zoom, I feel I can't pass up an opportunity to share a photo of me next to the bust of the man I admire so much, which is displayed in the lovely garden outside his museum. So give me a moment while I share this. So here's, it's a beautiful garden, as you can imagine, in Atlanta, and more than life-size bust of Jimmy in the garden. So something, a memory I still treasure. But what can we mere mortals do that could possibly compare to that which Jimmy Carter has accomplished? Surely you don't have to become president or win a Nobel Prize to have a life well lived. In my view, there's a happy medium between the two extreme cases I described. For example, I think my mom truly did have a life well lived, even though she doesn't have a Wikipedia page in her name. After living in a convent for 7 years, she got married at age 35 and had 5 children in the next 7 years, raised them all to adulthood and saw them all get advanced degrees, and then had 5 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild yet to be born when she passed away. During most of that time, she worked as a nurse, either as an instructor or in a doctor's office. Along the way, she left much more joy than sorrow. In fact, I'm hard-pressed to think of any sorrow she caused, perhaps only the frustration that resulted from promising too many things to too many people, and not being able to deliver on these unrealistic expectations. And one other thing I must say about my mom is that she was very good at making sure her affairs were in order when she passed, unlike my late neighbor. After my dad passed away 35 years ago, she created a trust for her property and decided that what remained should be split evenly among all 5 of her children. While we haven't all agreed about the decisions dealing with my mom's care over her later years, her decision to split everything equally is a lasting tribute to her desire to treat us all equally. You may have heard other ways to deal with children as you've aged. I remember seeing one bumper sticker that offered some advice that I presumed was meant to be humorous. Avenge yourself. Live long enough to be a burden to your children. Hopefully, none of you are at that point in considering how to perform your estate planning. But what of those who don't have children? There must be other ways to have a life well lived that doesn't involve giving birth to future generations. As for myself, I don't have children, but have at 2 separate times in my life volunteered as a big brother to help provide a positive role model to a young boy who was missing a father in his life. I saw that as giving back to those less fortunate, And I've continued to have contact with one of these boys who has grown into a young man. And when I last messaged him a few weeks ago, he was in Nashville trying to make it as a musician. I'm wondering if being a wonderful pet parent would qualify one to have a life well lived. Certainly, it's honorable to take responsibility for the care and well-being of another living creature. Even my late neighbor, when I first moved in next to her, used to go out at night to a nearby cat colony with a friend of hers to feed the stray cats. I thought that was very kind of her, but it made it even more painful when I learned that one of her 2 cats she had with her when she died had basically starved to death. At one point, she had cared so much about cats, she'd go out of her way to feed them. But in the end, when she had apparently lost the will to live, she didn't have the ability to think about giving away her cats. They wouldn't die along with her. But I'm sure most of us with pets would bend over backwards for them. I applied expensive thyroid cream to the inner ear of my pet cat for the last 5 years of her 20-year life. And when we finally needed to put her down as she dropped to 4.5 pounds, could barely see, and was suffering from a sinonasal tumor, I was a sobbing mess. I remember telling my wife, this is the way I want to go out of this world, surrounded by people who love me at the time and place of their choosing. I still have a picture of her with her collar on our mantle, and regularly visit her grave where I buried her under the shade of an old oak tree. Taking care of pets in such a way certainly contributes a feeling of satisfaction, but unless you're raising generation after generation of show animals, I'm not sure if doing so would qualify one as having a life well lived. There's a lot of hermits out there who live alone and spoil their pets and even leave substantial parts of their inheritance to care for them. But it seems to me to truly have a life well lived, you need to somehow make life better for at least one fellow human. But I'm open to hear what others have to say in this regard. So as for my definition of having a life well lived, I think you need to meet at least these 2 criteria. To have loved as much or more than you have been loved. To have loved as much or more than you have been loved, and to have made this world a better place for your having lived in it. To have made this world a better place for your having lived in it. The first one relates to my belief that love makes the world go round. No job, bonus, paycheck, vacation, home, car, etc. can compare with the feeling of being in a loving, committed relationship. On your deathbed, you're not likely to say you wish you had taken the promotion that would have meant spending more time away from family and friends. The second guideline is my belief that you should be a net gain to this world. Once again, it's to have made this world a better place for your having lived in it. It's similar to the axiom I follow when camping. Leave your campsite cleaner than when you found it. In a way, you can look at our life here on Earth as camping. You get to stay on a beautiful planet for a limited time, and there's always somebody ready to take your home when you die. We certainly all take things out of this world while living in it, such as the resources we use, and unfortunately the lives of the animals whose meat we consume if we're meat eaters. But the net goal is to generate more than we use, whether it be energy, food, goodwill, etc. With that in mind, I have solar panels on my home and drive an electric car. I try to grow some of my own vegetables and recycle and compost everything I can. Being late in my career and near retirement, I've been trying to mentor the junior staff to try to pass down much of the knowledge I've acquired in a 40-year career in information technology. I hopefully still have many years left to live, but I like to think I'm well on my way to having someone say at my funeral, that was a life well lived. In preparing the sermon, I had a discussion with Twinkle Manning, a fellow member of the NAUA Worship Committee, and she suggested I watch the documentary created in 2017 by a friend of hers named Sky Bergman. The film is entitled Lives Well Lived and was recently shown on PBS. I took her advice and watched the film and enjoyed it. It celebrates the wit and wisdom of 40 adults who are 75 to over 100 years old and are living their lives to the fullest, including her 103-year-old grandmother who inspired her to make the film. I took some notes from the interviews with several of these people and would like to share their wisdom with you, what leads to a life well lived. One person said, being endlessly engaged. Another said, having good friends that support you. A third said, be very contented within your own skin and be very self-accepting. Still another said, to have the respect of the people that are closest to you. Another said, be happy, loving people, and be peaceful within yourself. Someone else said, learn new skills and don't get in a rut. Another said, you can say at the end of your life, I made the world a better place because I've gone through it. And lastly, from the filmmaker's 103-year-old grandmother, live life to the fullest every day of your life. Be good to everyone you know. Do a good deed when you can. Be happy. This film is available to stream from your local PBS channel, so I highly recommend watching it if this topic has piqued your curiosity. In closing, I wanted to recount one final opinion of what is a life well lived. I saw in Walter Isaacson's very detailed biography of Leonardo da Vinci, which I recently finished reading. He traveled to many museums to study his marvelous paintings like the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, and looked over many of the more than 20,000 pages found in some 50 of his journals on all types of scientific topics, such as architecture and anatomy. And one of these pages, Leonardo wrote over 500 years ago as a 37-year-old. As a well-spent day brings a happy sleep, so a well-employed life brings a happy death. Leonardo died on May 2nd, 1519, at the age of 67, and from all accounts, it was a happy death. I hope you've enjoyed these reflections on living well and expect that you'll have plenty of thoughts from your life experiences you'd like to share in our breakout sessions after the service. Now we're going to have some music.
May the work that I have done
Now, Bob Meyerson will extinguish the chalice as I read the closing words, and I'll share them on the screen for you to see. Most of you probably know these. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now, we have one more final music. Our closing song is a humorous twist on life that was sung in the final scene of Monty Python's The Life of Brian. It was recorded by Doug Rogers and his team of musicians from Port Townsend, Washington. So I want to thank him for doing that. I also wanted to thank Roy Dickerson for being the tech resource today, Bob Meyerson for aptly lighting and extinguishing the chalice, Catherine Lamar for the initial reading, and Joyce Kinnear, who will be doing the final announcements. Please stay connected if you want to participate in our after-service discussions.
Some things in life are bad, they can really make you mad. Other things just make you swear and curse. When you're chewing on life's gristle, don't grumble, give a whistle. And this'll help things turn out for the best. And always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the right side of life.
If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing.
When you're feeling in the dumps, don't be silly chumps. Just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. And always look on the right side of life. Always look on the right side of life.
For life is quite absurd, and death's the final word. You must always face the curtain with a bow. Forget about your sin, give the audience a grin. Enjoy it, it's your last chance anyhow.
Always look on the bright side of death. Just before you draw your terminal breath. For life is quite absurd, and death's the final word. Life's a laugh and death's a joke, it's true. You'll see it's only a show. Keep 'em laughing as you go. Just remember that the last laugh is on you. Everybody, always look on the right side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. Side of life. Side of life. Side of life.
Thank you very much, Bob, for that great service. Really appreciate it. The first thing I want to remind everyone that this is a volunteer organization, and we do appreciate your donations and gifts. The easiest way I found, especially for us in Mexico, is to go to the website, which is naunitarians.org. and go to the support us link where you can pay very easily by credit or debit card, or you can just put your phone up to this UPC code here or QR code and just it will take you directly to that page without having to type anything in. It's very easy to make donations, and everyone appreciates it. It helps us put on these wonderful services and many other activities, including some upcoming ones, which I'm going to mention to you. You can sign up to get the twice monthly emails that have these quite a few activities. The first one upcoming is the NAUA Book Club invitation that you'll see is on May 23rd at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're at another time like I am, just change from the Pacific time. The May book is one that many of you may have already read, and it's True Believer by Eric Hoffer. The club is open to everyone, and please invite a friend. You can get more details by sending an email at a link that ehudak71@gmail.com. Also on that same day, on the 23rd, there's the monthly minister support group, and you can get more information on that by going to the website under the upcoming events or emailing info@naunitarians.org. There is as well an upcoming NAUA International Alliance Study Group. And that one, let me see if I can, the date on that one is up on the fourth Saturday of the month, which I believe is also May 23rd. And that is from 7 to 9 Central European Time or 10 to 12 Pacific Time. The discussions will be, I'm sorry, this is a program of the International Alliance of Unitarians and Universalists, and it will help participants deepen their understanding of our liberal religious faith. In June, a couple of things to mention to you is that June 5 at 4:30 will be the Anything Goes discussion, which is a very interesting discussion on a wide variety of topics. We participate in it. You never know what will happen. More information on the link is also available on upcoming events on the website. And June 15 is our next third Saturday worship. It will be at 10 a.m. Pacific time, as this one it has been. And the service next month will be by Odell Habsdottir, and it is on the fourth principle. Finally, I just want to remind everyone that our first yearly summit will be October 17 through 20 in Spokane, Washington, as well as on Zoom. We will have the registration information out soon, but there is some information on the front page of the website, as I mentioned, naunitarians.org. Thank you very much and have a wonderful week.
Thanks so much, Joyce, and thanks to Bob Simoni for a great sermon, and really appreciate it.